welcome to Connections for Life. I'm Ted Pete.
Chad Kuvo.
I thought you were Chad Kubo Garcia.
Chad
Where
Garcia.
my Grateful Dead camera.
Yeah, I tried to mix those together. It didn't work.
Chad Garcia.
I got a
Jerry
fun little
Kubo.
game for you guys really quick.
You got a what?
A fun little game.
You can't spring this on us.
Yeah, where did that
Of course I
come
can.
from? What is this, Joe's Game Corner?
Yeah. It's an homage to your background.
Homage.
Homage. What are the top 5 Grateful Dead songs of all times?
Casey Jones.
Number 1. Number
No
1.
idea. No idea. I can't name one Grateful Dead song.
Casey, your wife just did before we got on.
Okay,
She
that's
sang it.
good for
Bring her
her. I
back
can't
in.
name
Bring her
anything.
back in.
Bring her, yeah. That's why I said she should have taken your spot.
Eileen, name some Grateful Dead songs for me. No. See, it doesn't
She
work.
hates you. She's gonna come in and elbow you.
I
in the
typed
side
in
of the head.
top 5 best Grateful Dead songs, and the very first thing that came up was the 75 plus best Grateful Dead songs of all time.
Wow.
That's how many there
75.
are, and I don't know.
I don't think I know 2. I only know Casey Jones.
Yeah, you do. I thought that too, but as I went through this list, I was like, ready? Casey Jones, Uncle John's Band, St. Stephen,
Okay.
Truckin', Friend of the
Truckin',
Devil.
I know. Truckin', I know.
Friend of the Devil.
Friend of the Devil's a great song too.
Don't know that.
You don't know that song,
I
Teddy?
don't know.
Friend of the
Trucking
Devil's
is probably the only Grateful Dead song I know.
I think my favorite is probably Fire on the Mountain.
Oh, that's a
Really?
good song too.
Yeah.
Don't know
I
that.
forget all those. It's crazy that I forgot all those. But thank you for your reference.
Yeah, man.
Good job.
You know me.
You're
You know me.
Johnny on the spot with the Google search.
Yeah, look, we're at the concert.
And the props.
They make me laugh every time I see him, though, whether they're that big
Love
or
this
this
thing.
one.
Callie got it for me.
Takes your
Don't
eye
hurt
out.
yourself. Please don't hurt yourself.
Take your eye out.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
How was your weekend, Chadwick?
Weekend. Zoe had a basketball game at 6:00 on Friday. It was like our home opener.
Which I have to interject and say that picture of her on the team page there that you posted, she's got her Lindsay face looking at Chad on. and it
Yeah,
was great.
100%.
It was so priceless. I wanted to comment that, and I'm like, I don't know how to word that properly, but yeah, she had her I'm Lindsay looking at Chad face, like, yeah.
So they had their home opener and they played a really, really bad team, and they're not a great team. And we beat this team like 34-6. It was 28-4 in the first half.
Yeah.
Basketball is so weird like that, like especially when it's younger kids.
But they're
This is JV,
freshmen.
this
It's
isn't
a
younger.
JV high school team.
No, but that's still younger kids. That's what I mean. Like you don't ever see like I don't know. I mean, I guess you do. It's just it seems more prevalent in basketball that you see a score.
Sometimes
that's
they
like,
just set a scoring
62
record
to
in the
6.
NBA the other night of like 192-70 or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. The Thunder
Yeah, I
got
guess.
destroyed by the Grizzlies.
I don't
Lost
know
by
how-
70 points or something.
I would just not come out and for that.
So we did that. Then Logan had a game on Saturday that we watched. He was up in Buffalo playing actually against Nichols School. And
Okay. Oh, that's where Christina went to lacrosse camp at.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
They have great facilities too.
Yes.
So he was up there. They played 2 games over the weekend. So
Oh,
other
they
than
do.
that, didn't do a whole lot really, which was kind of cool. They did bad. I mean, they didn't do bad. That team was ranked in the mid-20s. They lost 3-1 and 4-2. He played
Okay.
really well, all over the puck, like completely different, moving the feet, good stuff.
Guess the talking to helped.
How about you, Joe?
I don't know, man. Pass.
All right.
I had the girls this weekend. We just did normal stuff, soccer stuff. And what else did we do? Lots of soccer.
Casey didn't elbow anybody in the face this weekend.
She played pretty good. She played all right. She didn't
Headbutted him.
She played very uninspired this week, which she yelled at me about because I got on her afterwards. But she, you guys will understand this because you've had kids that are little. She's at the stage where like, sometimes she just like drifts off while she's out there. Like I'll catch her watching.
What do you mean? I've been in that stage since then. I guess.
No, I mean like when she's playing, like instead of like moving without the ball, she'll just stand there sometimes, and I'm like constantly on her. But
That's my problem with Logan, Joe. It's the same exact thing still.
Nick too.
Yeah.
Same thing. Move without the ball.
Lila played really well on Saturday. I was really happy with her performance. And then yesterday we just kind of hung around. We did some Christmas shopping, which, geez Louise, man, like the stores are crazy. And
It's a
then not only
nightmare.
that, there's nothing.
Traffic, like everything's
It's
just
crazy. So yeah, that didn't last very long. I don't know, pretty much normal. Nothing really great to speak of. No good stories out of this weekend.
No.
What are you, Teddy?
Well, so my son had his first second game last week, late in the week, and
We said weekend.
What? I know, but so like, but
Weekend
it
wrap
ties in here. Oh, I'm just giving a week.
It was on a long
How's
weekend.
that?
So it was last Tuesday.
And Friday after.
It was last Tuesday actually, but he didn't have a game Friday, so I don't know.
It's old news. I read it in the papers.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Teddy.
And they destroyed the team. But in the varsity game, you know, I have several players who play for our team as well, or on our team.
Yep.
And they were actually losing 10-0, and we got a tip breakaway, and the kid dunked on a kid from our team. So our kid dunked on a team from the other team. They're down 10-2. And when he dunked on him, he patted his head, like he patted his own head as he was running down court a little bit, right? Showboat, even though they're down 10-2, which I don't like. However, the very next possession, we get another tip, and he's got a breakaway to go up for another dunk. And a player from the other team,
He took him out.
took him out. I mean, when I say took him out, like
Destroyed him.
you got to make a play on the ball, all right, and take him out. That's fine.
Not if you're
Or you
Joe
wrap
Biden.
him. Or you wrap him.
Everybody
No.
gets one, Teddy. Everybody gets one.
Yeah.
This 6'6" kid who weighs probably 260 went at our 6'4" kid who weighs like 190, and he shoved him so hard, full sprint into a shove while the kid was in the air, and he hit the wall behind it and landed on his back. It was brutal. The dad came out of the stands. It was like, oh no, it was crazy.
How excited were you to not be a coach in that game?
At that exact moment, because I know the kid who got shoved and I care
Eddie went to
about
get a
him,
hot
you know what I
dog.
mean? I was like, whoa. But then when they did not eject the kid,
They didn't?
they did not. So our coach then, you know, he's going at the official for it or whatever. They decide not to eject this kid. And if I'm the other team's coach, he doesn't play anymore.
He's sitting down.
He's sitting down. Well, we start to mount a comeback. Like I said, it was 10-2. The kid made the 2 free throws, then he had to come out of the game. His back was, he landed right on his back. So he didn't play anymore. Well, we start to mount a little comeback. Guess who checks right back in the game? Oh, number 21, the shover. This kid had 33. He had 33 in the game.
Shover.
Steve Shover.
He had 33 in
Steve
the
Shover.
game. We ended up coming back, and 2 of my players that play on the varsity team took over. They had 18 and 14 each. They let them, made a comeback, won the game. It was great.
That's awesome.
So it was cool, but it was a crazy situation because like I posted the video in a coaches forum I'm part of on Facebook, and it's gone viral. I got a couple hundred comments, people arguing, oh my, he should have been kicked out. All this
Do they
stuff.
realize the game was a month and a half ago? You're just talking about it now.
Yeah, this was thanks for the last Tuesday recap.
It
It
was
was on the Sports Center.
And then this weekend I just coached basketball like normal, and it was little kid basketball too, so there was nothing that exciting about it. It was
that's
like third
awesome,
and fourth
but
graders,
that's
and fifth and
fun.
sixth graders, you know. So we had some good times, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, good stuff.
I think it's Joe. What
I think next week when we record, we should talk about something other than what we always talk about. Like when we say our weekend, we should talk about something different.
But that's
Because
what we
literally, I always talk about soccer. You always talk about basketball, lacrosse, hockey, and Teddy always talks about basketball.
If there was
Let's
something
talk-
else, if I had something.
Let's talk about like what we
different,
ate over the weekend or what we cooked. I don't know.
My wife and I
Oh,
went
that's
to a
not a bad
Christmas
idea.
party. We went to a
There you
Christmas
go.
party.
Ah, you
with one
can't
of
get
our
out of that.
cousins.
I had a
You already
cheesesteak.
had your time.
I had a cheesesteak.
Yeah, see, that would be a good thing to talk about. We can talk about
Where was it from?
Capriati's.
Was it
No
good?
free ads, but Capriati's. It's a nationwide chain. It's really good though. It's like the closest we have in Columbus.
Was it better than
your
I went,
recommendation from
that's why
Wendy's?
we don't do that.
All right, let's move on. Jeez Louise.
Was it better than a recommendation from Wendy's?
I'm gonna leave.
Potentially. Sorry.
Yeah.
God, no, don't go anywhere, Joe. Sorry. We did.
Joe, it's your part of the
I'm
show.
gonna go
now.
back up.
Are
I'm
you
gonna go back
sure?
here.
Because I thought we were gonna talk about basketball some more.
We weren't.
Or
We were
hockey.
talking about food, like you referenced.
I said next week, man.
Yeah, but we got distracted. Squirrel.
All right, anyways.
So Joe's idiom. Joe's an idiot. I mean, Joe's idiom of the week.
Oh, wow. 10 with the shots.
So this one's kind of cool, I thought. Let the cat out of the bag. You guys have heard that before, right? You know what that means?
Ooh,
Like
yes.
meaning to like mistakenly reveal a secret. Like you let the cat out of the bag. You should have told them we were going to Disneyland, right? Like something like that. Do you guys want to take any guesses to where that came from?
I'm gonna assume mine's gonna do with magic, which would be the one I guessed first is the cat just got out of the bag.
My favorite part of this has nothing to do with what they mean. It's what your guesses are. Those are my favorite. We should be capturing.
I just went with my first reaction and said it has to do with magic.
Ta-da! Like, is that what you thought?
And he was about, he's like, oh, and then it jumps out of the bag early, and then he's like, darn it, not gonna work.
That's actually plausible, but it's not it. Teddy, do you have any ideas?
No, because mine are morbid. And
Yeah, all right.
I don't think it would be appropriate for our show.
No one watches it.
Grateful Dead faces on it.
So this is really bizarre. This one blew me away a little bit because I wanted to do this one because of its bizarreness. Up to and including the 17th in the 7th. Wow.
Talk
Redo.
much.
Well, it's actually written incorrectly, and I tried to read it verbatim, and it's messed up. Up to and including the 1700s, a common street fraud included replacing valuable pigs with less valuable cats and selling them in bags. When a cat was let out of a bag, the jig was up. So instead of like people would go to the market to buy a pig and they'd be like, we're out of pigs, but throw a cat in there, and they'd seal it up and they'd give it to them. People would go home and they'd open it up and a cat would jump out of the bag instead of the pig that they thought they had.
How
I
big
have
is
so
the
many more
chicken?
questions. I have so
Are you
many more
buying a
questions to
piglet?
that.
I don't know, man. I wasn't there. I'm just reading off of this English idioms origins website.
Huh.
Could be wrong. It might be the magic thing. Ta-da! Like, I don't know.
Oh,
Let's switch to a rabbit. They're less aggressive and no claws. Yeah. Like,
that makes so much more sense when
It does, right? That's
they're less aggressive and no claws.
I'm gonna come up with Chad's idiom corner. Like, I'm gonna start making my own website. Anyways,
Maybe we could get us out of our day jobs and we end up being Chad's assistants. Chad just
You
think
need
of funny
something.
stuff to say all day.
I didn't. That wasn't even supposed to be funny. That was actually my guess.
but they're all funny.
They are. So now is it on to the portion of the show that Chad has to change his background for? Gas man.
I lost my other one. I really need to get into.
You know what the best part about switching the screen right there was, buddy? Is that I think most people, when they were watching, thought that your shirt in the background
was part of the background.
part of the filter.
It's not.
And now everybody realizes you actually are wearing a Grateful Dead shirt.
Well,
I
I
think
was
it's
too
funny that
lazy to
his
get changed
background-
out of my Grateful Dead t-shirt to film, so I made my whole background.
Would you go to Spencer's this weekend?
Lindsay got me this. I like my Grateful Dead stuff.
So what's funny is that your green bears, when you had your background up on your shirt, like
Green bears.
you could see them moving with it, and now you have a gray background, so your green bears are now gray on your shirt.
Oh, gray bears.
Gray bears on the chest.
Yeah, gray bears and green bears.
Fancy. All right.
Anyway.
Wow.
Weekly gas factor gas.
All right, so we got guys. We know that energy efficiency is a critical component of reducing costs, home costs, heating costs. And natural gas is obviously, as we've talked about, more efficient than alternate ways to heat your home or things like that. So on an energy equivalent basis, natural gas rates are blank less than electricity. Would you like choices, or would you like me to? You guys just want to?
Is it money or percentage?
It's percentage.
Okay. So
12%.
repeat the question one more time. I don't think I want the things. I'd like to answer 12, but I know it's not right.
On an energy equivalent basis, natural gas rates are blank percentage less than electricity.
Oh, it's got to be so high.
40%.
I'm 68.
You want the choices?
No. Yes. No. Yeah. Yeah. No.
No, maybe.
Go ahead.
58, 67, 37, or 45.
67.
45.
67.
40,
Chad?
38, whatever I said first.
It's 67.
Wow. Did you say 67 off the bat?
No, he
I
said
said 68 off the bat.
Oh, sorry. I went.
Oh, you're over. You went over. Sorry.
Unfortunate.
It was
It's
closest
unfortunate
without
that you
going
went
over.
over.
Bum, 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 bum. Isn't
He
that
wants a redo. Give him a redo.
Bum, 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 bum.
Give him a redo.
That's crazy. 67%.
Don't worry, Teddy. You'll get the spin.
Go to the
That
actual
is crazy,
showcase
though.
showdown.
That is crazy. Good job, Teddy.
Thank you. It was a
Anyway.
complete guess, but I thought it would be pretty high. You know what
So
I mean?
I posted it on this morning, and somebody already voted, but they voted 45.
45. I just look at it as
45.
I'm not gonna call out who it was.
I guess it makes sense
Shame
though,
anybody.
because if I just look at my gas bill compared to my electric bill and think like my gas bill, even in the winter, is not a lot. Where I know some people that have electric here and it's $500 a month, and I pay like $150 in gas. Like
I know I'm mostly gas here, and I mean I'm all gas. What the hell am I talking about? Mostly gas. Aside from like for heat and stuff. It's
I'm forgetting your computer on, you mean?
Well, you guys know my house is not small. I mean, it's old,
No.
so like you stand near the windows and you kind of sometimes feel air coming through on some of the older. And the attic is a disaster. You could
Best place is to stand on one of those vents.
But my bill last month was only like
throws right up your shorts.
Wow. See, I have to keep mine on. I have to do the budget with them because like it varies so much from month to month. But
really?
like
Even in the winter.
So how? But what I've figured out what the utilities try to do is if you use the budget.
Been there for a winter yet?
Yeah. What the utility system tries to do is on the budget system. So like I set my budget.
We're not pass. We're not talking about the budgeting system. I want to hear it, but no one else does.
Stick up for you.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to.
We have a guest to bring on. Otherwise, this episode is going to be 6 hours long.
Oh, so guys, this week we're bringing on Mark Sommer from Sommer Energy Technologies. Sommer. I read it, so that's how I read it. Either way,
we should have probably asked.
Thanks for embarrassing me.
We should have asked him. I don't know the answer either. It's not like Teddy's mad now. He's working on his budget.
So Mark was really interesting. Mark is somebody that reached out to come on the show to us actually, and we got to learn a lot about gas compression. That's his field essentially. He's been doing that since he got into the industry. Now has his own business essentially, repping different parts of gas compression essentially systems.
I ain't gonna lie. When we first talked to him, like in the pre-call, I was like he was talking Japanese.
Even in the post call, by the time post call was done, I feel like some of the stuff is still Japanese. But
so we figured out very quickly that Mark is 3 to 7 times smarter than each one of us, and we'll probably.
I'm gonna guess that you picked Ted. It's the 7 times smarter than.
I wasn't gonna pinpoint anybody. Ted's mad again.
Either way.
I'll still roll my dice on the fact that I'm plenty smart.
Good point. Why don't we talk about the budget?
You just said I'm gonna roll my dice on the fact that I'm plenty smart.
Yeah.
You want to revise that sentence? Plenty smart.
No. Can you go on to the next portion, Teddy, where you welcome Mark to the show, please?
Nope.
Without further ado.
Everybody's got a roll. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Mark.
That's your role.
Hello, Mark. Welcome to Connections for Life.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
How are you? Let me ask you, how's Halloween for you, right? I'm gonna change it up a little bit. I'm gonna change the question up since we're recording this post-Halloween. I want to know how your Halloween was.
The interesting part when it comes out on December 15th, it'll be fun to talk about.
Doesn't matter. It's Halloween. You got orange up, and you got orange up, so we're doing it.
Go ahead, Mark. How was Halloween?
Well, pretty quiet. My kids are 23, 20, and 17.
So you don't go trick-or-treating with them anymore?
No. Yep. So my wife and I sat at the end of the driveway and handed out candy. It's good to see some neighbors. It definitely seems like there's been a fall off the last few years. Trick-or-treat age, our street was just loaded with kids, but I guess neighborhoods change. But yeah,
I think it's interesting as your kids get older. It just becomes less and less fun, I guess. It's fun to give candy out. But the other question I was going to ask you, did you have Halloween yesterday, trick or treat, on Sunday?
We did,
Mark. Yeah. See, ours in Columbus for some reason was on Thursday. They were like, hey, let's have trick or treat 4 days before this is supposed to happen. Really strange. So yeah, sorry.
Ours was last night too, so it was a little hectic. But all right, I'm sorry I hijacked the interview there.
Was the orange background?
Yeah, it was Halloween's on my mind, So I just want to ask, I guess we'll start you off where everybody, how did you get into the industry? How did you start Sommer Energy Tech? And why don't we just do a little introduction?
Sure. So they're not the things that are in the back behind me. I'm passionate about cycling, motorcycles, cars, and from that, basically a kid, home garage mechanic, love with gearhead. So I went to college at West Virginia Tech for mechanical engineering technology, which is mechanical engineering, but without quite as much math and a lot more labs and industrial management. And then, so this was in the early to mid 90s when I graduated. The economy wasn't great. And I got a job. I wasn't really thinking of getting into the world of sales. And I ended up, working for a company. My first job out of college, it's really funny. I'm on my business. I'm on Industrial Boulevard in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. And my first job out of college was about a quarter mile down the street. So all these years later, I came back to the same old
Full
industrial.
circle.
That's good or bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
it's kind of cool. I really
It is
like
neat.
it here. So I started out application engineering, and I've always been entrepreneurial from the time I was a kid. I mean, paper route, grass cutter, all those type of things. And so I always had this entrepreneurial bent. And at some point along the way, I had bought, like, some jobs were changing, and I was asked if I'd want to go into outside sales with a focus on the natural gas industry. So this was in the late 90s, and compression then was the slow speed integrals, and which was a really cool way to learn quite a bit. And then from there, different positions. So basically the path was kid, gearhead, college for engineering technology, application engineer, sales, and then into management positions, and got to a point where it was time to go out on my own. And so I did spend 2 years now. And
I was just going to ask that. How long has it been? That's
Yeah.
That's really awesome. I know you guys or you're based in natural gas compression, essentially in your niche of the industry, as we talk about. Like, we
Right.
have our own little niche in what we do, and it's amazing how many niches there actually are
Right.
in the oil and gas industry. I just want a basic understanding of what that means, and kind of why do we need to compress natural gas, and how do you do it?
Yeah, sure. So it's in order to get a fluid to flow, whether it's gas or liquid, you need to have a pressure drop, correct? So it's one of the basic. In order to happen, you have the hose, let's say, has 50 psi in it, and the nozzle's closed. There's no flow happening, correct?
Mhm.
As soon as you squeeze that trigger on the nozzle, what happens? Flow. Because you have a pressure drop. You have going from 50 psi in the hose to 0 psi in the air. So there's the flow. So in order to have that gas flow, you need to have a pressure drop. So how do we do it? So compress the gas, and compressing the gas moves it down the pipeline so that it actually flows. And this compression, it takes place from the wellhead to gathering to processing, transmission, distribution, ultimately getting to that end user. So so that's the most basic reason. I'll try to spare you all the super geeky details, but
The super geeky details.
I guess I don't really understand gas compression. I mean, obviously in its simplest form, that makes a lot of sense, right? But there's a lot more, I'm sure, that goes into it. And I'm sure there's tons of challenges that go along with it. It's not as easy as just putting it through a garden hose, turning the nozzle, and then gas comes through, right? I guess what are the biggest like hurdles and challenges in your job and your career and what your company does?
Sure. So, if we look at it as the company exists to help customers solve their problems. So what's number one is maximize uptime and minimum unplanned downtime. Just like most industrial operations, it's that uptime. So
Mark, I have to cut you off because I have what may be a really dumb question. But what does during that downtime, if somebody's compressor motor goes down, like a transmission company's or somebody that's it, what happens?
okay,
And I'm sorry to tangent off of that. It just
no.
Like,
So
Nothing.
there are really no facilities or systems that are built that one machine is carrying 100% of the
Okay.
load. So even if a compressor station may have, let's say, 9
Mhm.
2,000 horsepower units, and maybe 7 or 8 are running at any given time. So yeah, and then just switching valves out in the gathering systems.
Pretty neat though. I just
So
wondered.
you can reroute the gas. Yeah.
So are they all in line? Like, for example, if 7 are running and there's 9 in the system, if one goes down, the other one will just kick on, and then is that how that works?
Well, yes and no. Yeah. So they might be maxed out, but you also have to look at the load that's on the engine.
Sure.
I'll try to not geek out too much. Things like compressor rod load and loading of the engine, that has a negative effect. But in order to meet some immediate contractual obligations, you have to do what you have to do.
Mhm.
But there is so much redundancy built in. The only exception to that would be like at a wellhead. If that wellhead compressor goes down, but that wellhead compressor, again, like if we take one well out of the natural gas,
Yeah.
say production, gathering,
System.
transmission
Yeah, in the
system,
system.
no big deal. Yeah.
Right.
Wow, that's
That's-
interesting.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then
So- Go
Yeah,
on.
go
Go ahead.
ahead.
No, I was going to say, back to the original question. Before
Yeah, I'm
Chad-
sorry, I
Chad
tangented.
jumped in. Just some of the challenges that you face with your job and your position.
Yeah. So again, the biggest, working on these challenges with customers. So uptime, and then also that the compressor packages, which I don't get involved in on the upfront side, but down when they're buying new compressor packages, that they've been sized properly to handle a range of flows and pressures. And those flows and pressures change, like for example, as a well declines. And then, so these incremental efficiency and reliability gains to transmission and distribution are really important because they're regulated utilities. And so they're basically like a tolling station. So they need to keep that gas moving. But something that's really, so we get away from, the optimal sized compressors, reliable compressors, I say the whole package. But something that's at the top now of mind is ESG, and in compression, the E part, environmental, of course, and environmental, social governance. So some of the things that we work on are both the stack emissions, so the exhaust. Pennsylvania has some extremely tight exhaust limits for air permitting new units called PA-GP5, and they are actually some of the toughest in the country to meet. So that's a challenge of taking these machines, these engines that have been out in the field and running, and now coming up with an exhaust system and controls to keep them, and then to keep them in compliance, and even exceed. And then the other piece is the fugitive emissions. So all compressors have, just like a valve, the rods have packing. The packing leaks. So that is all vented to atmosphere by design. So now operators are looking at gathering that vented gas, and there's different means of beneficial reuse of it rather than releasing it, actually using that gas. So
is it reintroduced like into the pipeline, or is it captured?
Yeah,
and
there's a couple of different ways of doing it. So either capture it and put it into the pipeline. Now that's going to depend on the pipeline pressure, et cetera.
Sure.
But then another means is also capture that vented gas. And it is the same gas that the engine is using for fuel.
That's what I was just going to ask.
And then, so we bring that vented gas into the fuel header of the engine.
So it just
now
reuses it.
the engine's going to get some free fuel, and there's no vented emissions. So it's a win-win. Yeah.
So I just did not to deviate. We touched on your company and we kind of touched on compression, but we didn't talk about what your company does in the compression market. Curious if you want to give us just like a kind of a top level overview of what your organization does and what your specific day to day is.
Oh, sure. So what the business is a manufacturer's rep company. Okay. So in other words, we provide representation in the field for about 6 different manufacturers. We're one SRC of Lexington. They're pivotal to what I do. They
You want to mention the other 5 just in case, so nobody
Oh,
gets
yeah.
mad?
Yeah. SRC of Lexington, Turbo Supply, Emit Technologies, IPD, Test Corp. Yeah, so
Cool.
yeah, that's what we do. And
Awesome.
yeah, so provide, like I've said, I've had these different positions in my career. And what's interesting is I've said I've application engineer, sales, management. Well, now I get to do all of
Now
those
you're
every
all of them.
day. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was
And
gonna
the other
say
thing that,
it's different kind of really though, because you are a salesperson. I get it because you're a manufacturer's rep. So there's a product and a thing that you're actually trying to sell to a marketplace. But I
right.
think more than anything, and I think sometimes maybe more similar to me, Chad and Ted, like you tend to be more of that. You're not really selling anything. You're more of like a technical support person, right? Like you're trying to, you're more of like that liaison to say, I'm going to help you fix a problem rather than sell you a product. I think that's probably why you enjoy what you do so much, because you get to do that geeky stuff, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
And there's another piece, and Boss Pack Engineering is another company. So we do machinery health monitoring. So remotely monitoring the condition of the machines. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would be terrible in sales of things.
Like a car salesman, you probably would be great.
Here's how the widget works. Here's how much it costs. How many do you need? Like,
I'm not buying the
Yeah,
extended
that's-
warranty from you, Mark.
Yeah.
I'm not buying the internal package for my seat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, that's what it is. It's, customers who, the way I work is I keep my finger on what's happening in my market segment, and then, look at individual challenges of operators and help them with the problems that they have that I can help them solve.
You're really selling yourself. I mean, it's all it is. Kind of like we all do, really. I mean, we're all really
terrible at it. We're just terrible
Yeah.
So Mark, you've been doing this for a long time, and we got some of that background. What do you have any crowning achievements so far? I don't know if it's starting your own business or something like that, but big projects, anything that comes to mind.
You know what? It's absolutely. It's funny. I have this weird habit. I never really celebrate victories. I'm just like, yeah, that was the way it's supposed to happen.
Wow, we talk about
honestly,
that a lot.
Last week was the best week in the history of the company. It was absolutely
mega.
And I'm not having a party today. I'm just like, okay, let's.
Well, we can. Hang on. Let's see if I can do something in the background.
Yeah. And so definitely starting Sommer Energy Technologies. Like I said, I've really been an entrepreneur my whole life. And then, I learned a lot from working for other companies. This wouldn't have worked when I was 23 or 24 years old. So it takes some time and some seasoning. And then I got to a point where it was time to use that experience and build a new business. And my vision, and really my vision is, it's one that helps customers solve problems in a commercially viable manner. And, and just really get things done. One of and I know he's a flawed hero, but probably my hero in business and engineering is John DeLorean. And there was a documentary that was done in the 70s, and it was just rebroadcast. And I've read every book by him and about him. But
well, he made a car that could go back to the future. I mean, how much cooler can you get?
I actually have a Post-it note written on my wall that says flux capacitor. There's a reason for it, but that just made me laugh. That came up.
And I think the John DeLorean thing's pretty awesome, though, because the story's cool.
Lots of quote, and there's a quote that really stuck with me. He said, this was when he had started the DeLorean Motor Company, 1980, 81, whatever. He was being interviewed in this documentary. Why did you do it? You were at the top of GM. You were the heir apparent to run the whole thing. And he said, my career goal was never to be 1 in 7 or 1 of 10 in committees that don't ever really get anything done. So I've stepped away from committees that don't ever really get anything done. So that was a big motivation.
I want to ask you, I assume at some point in time, like you were faced with the choice of either staying with the company you're with or moving and doing your own type of, starting your own company. Yeah. There must have been a lot of, I don't want to say dark days, but times where you questioned yourself or didn't, you didn't know if it was the right decision. I guess I just want to ask you, what were the biggest challenges for you, starting Sommer Energy Technologies, and what, for those people out there that are kind of sitting in that situation too. I think there's a lot of people that are kind of maybe looking for a change, and they've done that 20, 30 years of build up, and they've learned, like you said, at 20, you wouldn't have been able to accomplish what you're doing now because you've learned over the years from probably some very smart people that you've worked with and learned from. Just what would be your suggestion to people starting, wanting to do that and stepping out on their own?
Well, the reason I went the route of being a manufacturer's rep is that there's almost no capital investment. You're basically, you're a contract salesperson.
Yeah, I got you.
So if you have, and again, it's one of those things that if you've got both the connections with companies to represent, and you have customers that you're already selling
in that product,
who they know, like, and trust you, and they would be users of what you're selling. And a big part of it too is having the support of the family. My wife owns her own business. She's been successful for about 10 years. She came from a self-employed family. And
what'd she do? Gas compression?
No,
she's in the gas compression market.
She's SRC of Lexington.
No, I wish. No,
I'm sure.
She's a graphic designer,
Oh, that's
artist,
awesome.
and so she's got a really nice business that she's built up that's doing quite well. And my parents were both self-employed when they were in their 40s. They started independent of one another, separate businesses. My mother had a writing service, like a corporate called ProPen Writing Service. My dad started a real estate appraisal company called All Service Real Estate. And my father-in-law and mother-in-law, they had a company called the Schwartzmiller Company, my wife's maiden name, that they built large steel commercial buildings.
Crazy.
And so, we were
it's in your genes. I
mean, and having a wife who's self-employed and came from that world too, because when I told her, I was like, you know what, we've talked about for so long. Her name's Audra. I said, Audra, I'm going for it. And she said, I have been waiting so long for you to tell me this. So that's awesome. Yeah, it's never one of the situations where, wife
it's really cool.
Worried about health insurance or whatever. We just went for it. So
that's awesome.
That's cool. Good for you. I'm gonna just, I don't know, Chad, do you have any more in regards to that?
It's what I just no, I'm good.
Wow. Are you okay?
No, I don't think I'm all right anymore.
Teddy, are you alive?
Teddy's been scared his internet's gonna fall out, so he doesn't talk.
But every time I started to say something, all of a sudden Mark would be like,
all right. So we'll finish with this, Mark. A lot of weird stuff going on in today's world. A lot of things with solar and renewables, things like that. I just want to ask you, you've been in the industry quite a while. Where do you see tomorrow going? What's the future of natural gas look like, and from your angle?
Yeah, so natural gas is going to be part of our energy mix, and also as a feedstock for all the plastics that we use for a long time. And I'm also going to include renewable natural gas renewable in that market. And I do have pretty heavy involvement in landfill gas and anaerobic digestion gas. And so, when it comes down to it, your stove and your water heater at home, CH4 is CH4. It doesn't care.
It doesn't care where it comes from.
With a hole in the ground or a garbage dump. And so that mix is going to be here. And the other part of it too, we talk about the hydrogen economy. Well, natural gas is CH4. So it's a carbon and 4 hydrogens, right? So it's a feedstock for hydrogen. So yeah, natural gas is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's pretty neat. Up in the county that I live in, upstate New York, we have a couple of landfills, and they just recently contracted with UGI to bring that down to to their system. And I thought that was pretty cool. I think it's really neat because it's something that I like to learn about things, and I know nothing about that. So I think it's kind of unique and interesting about how they're capturing it, gathering it, and actually injecting it into the system. It's I don't know. It's pretty cool stuff. I know you get a closer view of it because of what you do, but I don't know, to me, it's just pretty interesting how they're.
Yeah,
how
it really is. And it's one of those things that I wish it would get the publicity that solar and wind do. I think it's a little bit difficult maybe for the general public to wrap their arms around
Yeah.
it.
Sunshine, wind blows. It's a little
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, exactly. Versus, hey, let's take your rotten bananas and your coffee grinds and
Here's the thing, though. Sometimes the sun
And
doesn't
we can
shine.
put them in your flux
Sometimes,
capacitor.
sometimes
Yeah.
the wind doesn't. Sometimes the sun doesn't shine, and sometimes the wind doesn't blow. But garbage always decomposes.
Oh, yeah. We got that going. So,
Unless it's plastic, my bad.
well, even still, there's biodegradable.
Yeah, eventually, like 14,000 years from now.
We won't be here, but you know, Mark, I just want to say thanks. We could probably talk to you for a long time. What you do is very, very interesting to me. I feel like there's about 7 hours of content that we could talk to you about.
I had 14 other questions through all that I didn't ask. I actually wrote some of them down.
Yeah, we'll have to do like a what's it called? Like at the end, we'll have to have like a Q&A with everybody. But, I think it's really unique. I want to also say thank you for reaching out to us. You reached out to us to come on our show. We don't get that to happen very frequently, so that was pretty neat and cool for
Yes,
us.
thank you.
Yeah, that was via my friend Jim Sindoma, who
Yeah,
you
awesome.
had on. Yeah,
Shout out, Jim.
Yeah,
The
little,
guy that doesn't wear pants on his book cover.
yeah.
Here today.
Little tire pump to Mr. Sindoma there. But thanks for coming on the show. We hope to see you in person at some point.
Yeah,
sure. You know, I know that we're not all that far away. I'm sure we'll cross paths here in the near future. But thanks for coming on this show. And I don't know, boys, if you have anything else.
No, I just want to say thanks, Mark. Just talking the little bit of basics about gas compression certainly helps me even understand it more. I've been in this for 23 years and I still don't really get it. So, but that's most of my life. So I'm not shocked. It's
Yeah.
If it wasn't for his wife, he wouldn't even be able to like get up in the morning. So.
no, not a chance.
She's a saint.
Yes.
Sorry, I was afraid to participate because every time I started.
What'd you say, Teddy? You're
Well, I
froze.
can't hear you, Ted.
Thanks, Mark. We appreciate
Thank
you
you,
joining us
guys.
on the show. We'll talk.
Thank
to
you,
soon,
Mark.
my friend.
We're still here, huh?
I was
Still
just-
at the portion
want
where
Mark.
we're still on the silent treatment, aren't we?
Oh, seriously, Mark, thank you for joining us on the show. Honestly, you know, again, as
We're
we're
keeping
speaking,
that, huh? Okay.
We have to.
yeah, that's we got to do some stuff different, man.
Okay, whatever. No one watches this part of the interview anyway.
But Mark, seriously, as we referenced earlier in the beginning part of the show, you're way smarter than the three of us. I think combined, he's probably somewhere between 3 and 7%. If you put all of us together. And I definitely most of the interview I thought you were speaking Swahili. And I sat, I don't think I said a whole lot in that interview. It was tough. But
No,
honestly, it was great to
it was
learn
cool.
about it. So
It was cool. Yeah. I mean, I think one more time, guys, it just goes to show like there's so many different facets of this industry that we have no
He's
idea
a small
about.
niche as well.
Right.
Like just a little tiny niche in the
Is
whole
it niche or
pond.
niche?
I don't know. That's why I said both of them.
You're gonna cover both bases. You double down on it. Huh? All right.
You never know.
Say
The
Worcestershire.
we just got to roll.
But it was really interesting to hear about just because I'd never even I take
You
it for
don't consider
granted.
it.
You know what? I
Yeah.
take it for granted when I see a compressor station and I had something to do with the pipeline that goes into it, but I take for granted kind of what happens inside that building. And I had no idea there was that much. Like
It's
pretty wild.
The breadth and depth of the industry is really,
Whoa,
it's
you don't
crazy.
have to get all crazy with your stuff there.
breadth.
Hmm.
You say breadth, breadth and depth.
Definitely.
Tell me when
Hey,
the show's over.
hey,
I'll stop
hey.
recording.
Hey, guys! I don't know if you heard, but Christmas is coming up, right? Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I think so.
Does anybody?
My kid's
everybody
birthday's
ask-
the 20th. That's what I think about.
Who, the boy or girl?
The boy, he'll be 15.
Poor kid. Is that good or bad for him? I always wondered that.
My mom's
It's good
on
for
it.
him because he always, like, my wife was very, very big when he was younger.
Eileen.
Did you just
What
call
did
your
you
wife
just say
fat?
about
Did you
Eileen?
say your wife was big. Real
Like,
nice.
she was
buddy.
very, very
That's not
big
nice.
on making
Oh.
sure that he felt that it was separate. We didn't want him to feel like he just got one of his Christmas presents early.
That's always that concern.
See, wait a minute though. I have a theory on this one, seriously, because my mom is the 27th. I think if your birthday is before Christmas, you're okay. I think if your birthday falls right after Christmas, you get totally bamboozled because everybody's like, I've heard it my whole life. Like they'll pay my mom a gift and be like, here's your Christmas/birthday present. My mom's like, would you
Thank
do that
you.
if I was born in October?
I just wouldn't have got you anything for your birthday.
Yeah, like I do.
No.
Well, happy birthday, happy 15th birthday to Saint Nicholas.
Yeah.
So,
Is there
what do you guys want for Christmas? Any wish list items?
I want a new Apple Watch. So I'm getting ready to start into the slimming phase of me again here.
You think the watch is gonna help? You can tighten it.
Well, no. So when we're doing a challenge, so I've had an Apple Watch 3, the Nike edition, for 3-4 years now or whatever. And my buddies in the Marines, we're getting ready to do a challenge kicking off in January, and we're all going to track on the watch. And I want to get a new one because
I have a
just gonna go
2
like
still.
this all
I
day?
still rock my 2.
you still like this all day?
It tastes just gonna go like this.
fist pump
That shouldn't be a
Jersey
problem.
Shore.
Hey, I learned a long time ago, Teddy. If you go fishing, every time you do this, it counts as a step.
Nah, really? Does
Yeah.
it really?
Yeah, one time I was out fishing. I reeled for like maybe an hour, and I looked at my watch. I was like 38,000 steps. I was like, yeah,
Woo.
killed it that day. 17 miles, never moved.
So new iWatch. I haven't had one since the 1, and I don't know.
I love mine, but it still works, and I'm refused to go buy one. And would mine still works?
What
I don't want
model
anything
is
else.
this, Joe?
That's the thing. I don't want anything else.
That's kind of I kind of asked for like a new winter jacket, as stupid as that is, but I just wanted something
Are
that
you
was
Ralphie from the Christmas Story?
a little, yeah, but like
Shoot
the
your
one,
eye out.
Think.
You kind of
the
look
one
like
I got
Ralphie.
last year, I got yelled at the other day because somewhere in my travels to Moravia and all the flying I've done where I've worn it, I must have got stuck on seats, and it's a like a feather jacket. So like
it's all
every time
fluffy.
now it has tiny little holes in it. Every time I sit down, Lindsay
Yeah.
will be like, "There's feathers."
Yeah, I was picking them out of my face last week. Remember?
Yeah, I do.
I got out of the car with Chad, and I had a feather stuck in my beard. Yeah, because when he sits down, it's like somebody explodes a pillow. It's like, and all these feathers go up. Whoa, whoa. Anyways,
I feel like I'm in the picture from Back to the Future.
so we got iWatch, new
Jacket.
coat. Didn't you just get a new coat from Upsco?
That doesn't count.
All
I
right.
just got myself new
And-
shoes.
Oh,
Oh, those are bronze, huh?
The LeBron Miami Night colorway. They match the uniform for the club really good.
What year
I
was
want-
those?
can we go?
No.
I
What do
will
you
not
want?
support LeBron.
What do you want, Joe?
I want to go.
Well, we
I
can
want,
bring
new, I,
that.
want, I want new webcast partners.
I want to trade these two guys in.
Yeah.
March
The only thing I really want, which I won't get, which is totally fine, is because no one's gonna buy them for me, is I want new headphones. My headphones are shot and I use them all the time. So but no, I'll probably just get
Use your Chase points and get the AirPod Pros.
I don't
Doesn't
have
have chase points.
You're the one who told me to get the Chase Sapphire card.
That was me.
I just told you through him.
Oh,
And you should
I don't
have
have
used the referral code. I would have got 10,000 points. No free.
I don't know, man. I don't really have that many needs and wants. I
No.
really
simple.
don't care. I mean, my kids are gonna have a billion things, and they'll all have new technology and awesome stuff, and that makes me happy. So,
You know what's kind of crazy before we go? One last thing, and
this
Lindsay-
episode is 67.
I know
minutes
she started wrapping presents last night though, but she was like, it's a little like sad and disappointing, even though it's not. But the like when they were little kids, like there was huge piles of presents. Now they have
long.
like,
And now it's like
there's
3 things.
11 things total. Like
Yeah, and
between both of them.
my kids are starting. I'm sure Teddy's are too, getting to that point where they're like, I want a new phone.
I want a new phone. All right.
Right.
Well,
It's like, well, there's your whole Christmas
yeah,
present.
there went my budget.
yeah,
Thanks.
there's all of
And-
it.
There's some candy in your stocking.
So I have to say something before we wrap, and it's pivoting to the end of the show. I guess I don't know. Again, whatever.
We've been
My brain's
pivoting.
blank. Anyway, so my daughter last week had to do a project in school where they had to Google their parents' names and use images that popped up to create this project.
They get yours in jail.
Well, so Christina, but they're doing it as a group in class. So like the teacher just
This is
like,
a bad idea for people that have bad parents.
well, that's what I thought immediately. I'm like, oh, there's some parents who you Google their name.
Oh, look, Timmy's dad is in the state pen.
Yeah. So they Google our name, right? And Eileen and I pop up, on her thing. There's some images pop up. First of all, there's some images that popped up from MySpace that were hilarious.
Oh, that's great though.
That's
Yeah.
still a thing.
But yeah, no.
There's still a
she has an
domain
account
there.
in the ether somewhere,
Yeah.
and there's photos from it on the web.
I'm gonna
Wow.
open up one called Our Space.
In our space. So they So they pull up some images of Eileen and her business and her company and all this kind of stuff and everything like that. And they're like, whoa, her class is like, is your mom famous? And she's like, no. Then she Googles my name. What do you think pops up on some of our
I've
images?
Googled your name before.
All of this.
We pop up and they're like, your dad has a show?
Yeah, see, I don't want my kids friends to know that.
Well,
I don't even tell people. Do you guys tell people like in your
setting.
personal life?
Yeah. So
Do
now
you?
all of a sudden I got like followers and crazy stuff from these kids. And I'm like, deny, stop requesting me. I don't know you, child. Get away.
I don't tell anybody that. Like, I really don't in my personal life. I don't ever tell anybody about this.
No, not really.
My family doesn't even know that we do this.
My mom watches religious. She's
My
one of-
mom,
she's
but
one of the
like my
14
aunts,
viewers
uncles,
every year.
aunts, uncles, cousins, they don't know that I have.
My mom, you're still here. There's no chance anyone is still here.
Hi,
this
chance,
week.
No, let's see how long we can do this. We have the longest episode ever.
All right, I'm gonna go.
Listen, I think we should do some episodes where we just talk.
Huh?
Because I think
Joe
it's
Rogan?
entertaining. And I get feedback.
Yeah, but
from
no
folks
one
that say
else
that
does.
They really enjoy that.
I think they do.
They do. I get that, Joe. You think they
If
don't?
anybody made it to this point, let us know if you enjoy us just talking. I certainly
Doug
don't.
Stafford, can you please?
I don't
reply?
even like talking to Ted or Joe most of the time. I lie. I like talking to Joe. I don't really like talking to Ted that much.
Feelings mutual.
Yes.
If I had a choice between like listening to like white noise in headphones or having a conversation with you, I would turn the volume up on full blast and ignore you.
I just want to go.
All right. Without further ado, remember to click like, subscribe, share. Chad's on the Fun House. Price is Right. We love you guys. We thank you, and we'll talk to you next week.